In this video, we'll train TJBot to process a message with the Watson Conversation Service. In the Node-RED editor, drag an inject node from the palette onto the canvas. Double-click on the inject node and set the payload to an empty string and the name of the node to start conversation. Drag a Converse node from the palette onto the canvas. Double-click on the node and configure it. The Converse node uses a Watson Conversation Service. First, we need to get these credentials from IBM Bluemix before we can use the node. Click on the icon next to the conversation heading. I'm already signed into my IBM Bluemix account. Create your IBM Bluemix account at bluemix.net. Click on Create. Each Watson service has separate service credentials. Click on Service Credentials in the menu on the left. Click on View Credentials to display the credentials. Copy the username and password into the input boxes under the Conversation section. We'll come back to the workspace ID in a minute. Return to the Bluemix console. Let's set up the conversation service to respond to this message. Click on Manage in the menu on the left. Click on the green button labeled Launch Tool. A sample workspace has been created to show an example of a cognitive car dashboard. However, we'll create a new workspace for the TJBot to use. In the box with the dashed border, click on the Create button. Workspaces enable you to maintain separate intents, user examples, entities, and dialogues for each use or application. Give the new workspace a name, TJBot. Click Create. The Conversation tool has three tabs: Intents, Entities, and Dialog. An intent is the goal or purpose of the user's input. You can list several ways that the question or statement might be entered to help your bot recognize an intent. An entity is a portion of the user's input that you can use to provide a different response to a particular intent. Create an entity with a set of values that can be used to trigger different responses. Use synonyms to list different ways that the same value might be entered. A dialog uses intents, entities, and context from your application to return a response to each user's input. Create a dialog branch for each intent that you define. In each node or box, enter a condition based on the input, such as the name of an intent. Then enter the response that your bot should make when that condition is true. In future videos, we'll create intents and entities. Click on Create. The service adds two nodes, Welcome and Anything_else. Click on the node labeled Welcome. When the service receives an empty string input, it will match the welcome case. The default response is, Hello, how can I help you? Modify this response to be, Hello, I'm TJBot. How can I help you? Click the X in the top right corner to close the window. The second node labeled Anything Else is a catch-all condition. If no conditions are matched, the conversation service will return a response from this node. Notice that this node has several responses. Each time the service is called and matches this node, it will respond with one of the messages in this list in sequential order. This gives a variation to the response so that the bot doesn't respond the same way all the time. We're finished training this workspace for now. Before we leave the tool, we need to copy the workspace ID. Click on the menu in the top left corner and select Back to Workspaces. Click on the three dots in the TJBot box. Click View Details. Copy the workspace ID. Paste it into the workspace ID field back in the Node-RED editor. Finally, drag a debug node from the palette onto the canvas. Double-click on the node and change the output to message.response. Connect the nodes together. Click on the Deploy button in the top right corner of the Node-RED editor. Run the flow by clicking on the tab on the left side of the inject node. TJBot uses the Watson conversation service to analyze an empty string and outputs a response from the API in the debug window.